Gents, good evening. How are we doing?
Very well, yourself?
Yeah, doing really good. Sun's out again.
It's been a very nice weekend. James, how about yourself?
Oh, it's been bloody gorgeous down here.
Yeah, it's hopefully it's here to stay, but
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see. Shall we get sort of straight into it? It's been, for all intents and purposes, for the fact that the season's finished, it's been quite an action-packed week.
It's been quite an interesting week, really, in regards to, especially when it comes to the football. It's although the regular season is finished, you've had the Champions League final, various transfer rumours and deals going on. So it's been very interesting. What did any of you guys watch the Champions League final?
I did, yes. Jordan, how about yourself?
No, I didn't watch the final. I've seen the final result, but to be honest with you, I haven't watched it and I haven't caught up, to be fair, on any of the action. Probably a predictable result, although I know I asked you guys kind of which way you either saw it going or wanted it to go. I don't know which kind of way you answered. I know, Liam, you said it would 100% go Real Madrid's way, which it obviously did.
But I wanted...
more optimistic.
Yeah, I wanted the Dortmund nostalgia, that side of it, but yeah, it wasn't going to happen.
No,
I was very much along the similar wavelength as you, Liam. My head said Real Madrid, but my heart wanted Dortmund. I'm very much a fan of something a bit different. Let's do something different. But watching the highlights, it was up until 70 minutes. Both teams had their chances. They were both clinical in front of goal. The goalkeepers for both teams made phenomenal saves. It's just Real Madrid in the end had that final something special, and 15 times winners, 6 in the last 11 years. I mean, that's something to shout about, really, isn't it?
I was thinking about this the other night, and obviously Manchester City won the league.
Yep.
And they've won 6 out of the last 7, and within that they've got a couple of FA Cups and maybe a few Carabao Cups and 1 Champions League. You had the years where Barca sort of dominated, but no one has dominated. Real Madrid of this year won La Liga, won the Champions League. They won 3 on the bounce. Was it 16, 17, 18?
Yep.
I don't think we've seen a more dominant era from any football team ever.
No, I agree. And you'll have your cynics out there saying that when it comes to La Liga, it's a 2-horse race, Barcelona, Real Madrid. But I mean, you can throw Atletico in there. You've had the
Shattuck have won the league in that period.
Atletico have won it. I mean, there's Valencia are a good team. It's not a shoddy league by any stretch of the means. It's very much similar to the Premier League where anyone could beat anyone. The fact that Real Madrid have done it in Europe against your Bundesliga, your Premier League, your Serie A, your Liga teams, they are absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, what do you think it means for Jude Bellingham going into the Euros? A European winner. He is very much one of the star players of the Real Madrid team. What do you think it means for him going into the England squad?
From what I've seen, and from what I have seen, is it's kind of TikTok highlights of him when I'm on Instagram Reels, kind of when I'm scrolling through. But I suppose that obviously is the best of him, because it'd make a poor video if he just did a back pass and lost it, for example. But
yeah.
I had a fiver on Sky. Had this boost of Jude Bellingham, 1 shot on target, minimum 1 shot on target, and it was a boosted odd, and I lost that bet. So he didn't have a single shot on target in the Real Madrid Dortmund final.
Based on that, do we think Jude Bellingham is all that? Yes, he didn't have a shot on target, but what he does as a whole for the team and the positions that he put himself into, whether it be draw players or assist with goals or hold on up play, do we think Jude Bellingham is all that?
Possibly.
Before anyone gives a definite answer, can I just say,
yeah,
anybody that thinks he isn't all that, go and get your head checked.
I tell you what. So the position, I've seen the formation potentially that Gareth Southgate will run, and it's kind of a diamond with Kane up top. It's Saka on the right, somebody on the left. It's Sterling maybe on the left, and then you've got Bellingham kind of sitting in like a central midfield kind of cam type role. And if that's the kind of role that he is like what Liam's saying, yes, it's a simple yes. Then I think if he was to receive that ball, play a really good ball, you've got two extremely quick players on either side of him, and Kane's the obviously finishing man. So. If that's what he contributes, if he doesn't score a goal all Euros, but assists 90% of them, or has a really deciding kind of factor in all of the goals, then absolutely, I'm his biggest fan.
I do think that it'll be Kane up top. I think I've Foden and Bellingham in a bit of a free role behind, Saka on one wing. Somebody else on the left with Rice in behind, protecting the back four. If it's not that formation, teams will pick England off. If it is that, they'll go very far.
See, I'm a really big fan of Bellingham in the sense that you stick him in the middle of the park there. He can, not only is he a very defensive-minded midfielder where he'll backtrack and he'll help out the back four, and he'll also hold, but from an attacking side of view, he'll get the ball, he'll hold it up, he'll wait for players to get forward, and he'll play it through. But even when he's played it through, he will continue to run on to then become an attacking midfielder, whether he has the shot, whether he plays it out wide. So even if he plays it out wide and your Sterling and your Saka play it in, I think he is an all-round player, and I think he is possibly one of the best midfielders that England will produce. Well, yes, he's playing in La Liga. We don't see him a great deal. If he was to come to the Premiership, he would be at an Arsenal or a Manchester City. But an all-round player, I think Jude Bellingham is the dog's bollocks.
And to be fair, living the dream as well. Like, you don't have to live in Manchester where it's constantly raining. You get to live in Madrid, and you get to play for the biggest team, arguably, in the world, won the Champions League. And Liam noted as well, La Liga Player of the Year after the Champions League.
Yeah, and deservedly right. And I mean, if they I don't know if they do, or if they do, great. If they don't, they should do a European Player of the Year. He's definitely up there. And going on today's news as well with Mbappe, who is now signed for Real Madrid, how dominating and how dangerous are Real Madrid going to be with Bellingham in that midfield position with a player
Vinicius Junior and Mbappe up top.
Vinicius Junior and Mbappe up front with Bellingham playing them in. I mean, that is just. Sexy football at its finest.
And Ancelotti as well. Ancelotti is the type of guy, is the type of manager that will make them glue. It's all about saying, like, we have outstanding players as individuals, but can they play as a team? And I think previous England teams haven't played as a team. I think these kind of group of cohorts, and with Gareth Southgate having such a long tenure so far, I know there's people saying he needs to be sacked because he hasn't done the job. We got to a semi-final of the World Cup. We got to a final of the Euros. He's brought us further than we've ever been before, and he has kind of relighted the passion of kind of national team football. Will the pressure? The thing is, the pressure. We haven't won it. I say we. You both Welsh. But the pressure is there because we haven't won it since 1966, and the issue there is we're fine in the groups, okay in the last 16. When we start to get to the quarters and the semis, that's when everybody in the world starts talking about, or everybody in the UK starts talking about it. Pressure we start going sideways and backwards. we've got to continue to play with that same intensity and pressure and excitement as we did all the way at the beginning of the tournament. So we'll see.
Well, this is where I think Gareth Southgate needs a set of bollocks on him, where he's going to get into those. I mean, England are going to get through to they will get through to those latter stages of the European Cup, but this is where Gareth Southgate needs to have a set on him that keeps out and I hate to say it because he has been good for England. We all know he's been good for England, but your likes of Harry Maguire and people like that, and I'd even say Pickford in goal. Keep them out and get those hungry, want to prove themselves on the world stage players in to play alongside your world class like Bellingham, Saka, Kane, and really push for it. Because I mean, if there was ever a time that England were going to do it with the group of players that they have, it has to be now.
100%. So, moving on away from football, Luke Littler. I know it's kind of old news, kind of in this kind of news cycle, but we've not discussed it. Speaking of young talent, what an unbelievable achievement, Liam.
I hope he silenced a few people, and he's gonna, he's won the Premier League in his debut season. He's hit 9 darters. I watched him. You got the US Masters going on at the minute. He's actually got one last night by Rob Cross.
Did he win that in less than 10 minutes?
He won a game in less than 10 minutes, literally, yeah. But Rob Cross won. He beat Gerwin Price in the final. Gerwin Price beat Littler in the semis. But, he's not just been a flash in the pan. He's backed everything up this season. 17 years old, winning the Premier League darts. It's not a short format. It's a long 12-weeker. Hit the playoffs, and then you've got to go through quarters, semis, and final. A massive. That is consistency at its finest.
Yeah, fantastic.
Do you not think, as typical Brits that we are, when we see a young, successful person come through these sports and doing really well, part of us kind of wants them to fail just because that's what we are. But with Luke Littler, no matter how many people have gone, oh, he's 17, he's a cocky look. I mean, I've said it myself. We've all said it. He's being cocky. He's young. I hope he's got the right people around him. I'm really glad that he's proved a lot of people wrong, a lot of haters wrong, because
I think
he's
he has
done
got the right
so
people
well.
around. I watched an interview with Peter Wright, and he basically said to him, look, if you ever need any advice, there's going to be times when you start, that things are going to get on top of you. You might lose a couple of games in a row. Come and speak to me. He says, the thing is, he hasn't come and spoke to me yet because he hasn't lost. So it's like,
yeah.
I think the pros are wanting him to do well, and they like to see it. And he'll not beat Phil Taylor's record because I think the competition's a lot higher now, but he will be at that level. He'll Michael Van Gerwen's dropped the standard, but
he will certainly go down in folklore as being one of the best players to chuck some arrows. Absolutely, yeah.
Quickly, boxing last night was they had a bit of a funky format with Queensberry versus Matchroom. So Queensberry boxing promotional label got 5 of their fighters, put them up against 5 of the Matchroom boxers. Matchroom's predominantly being the big one, AJ and people like that on there, but Queensberry did win the night in all.
Can I just ask you a question? What is the difference between Match 5 and Queensberry rules?
Matchroom and Queensberry. No, there's no difference between. There's just different promotional labels.
Just like the PGD darts and the.
Yeah, if you like. Yeah, so there's no difference in that. Yeah, so, and Deontay Wilder headlined for Matchroom against Zhang, who had a fantastic fight on the Anthony Joshua Rees rematch undercard against Horgovich, who lost to Daniel Dubois in the undercard. But Deontay Wilder was absolutely flattened in the 5th round. Flattened. Bit of a shame. He boxes for all the right reasons. Probably the hardest hitting punch has ever been in the heavyweight division, but he just couldn't connect last night. But unfortunately, got caught. And the other big news is that Tyson Fury Usyk rematch is scheduled for December 21st. So I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, I think it will be good. I think with the fight that's just passed, it was extremely close, and it could have potentially gone either way. So with Usyk now being undisputed, I think it will be saucy.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be good. Did you catch any of the rugby on Friday and Saturday, Saints and Saracens, and then
Bath and Sale.
Yeah, so we're looking at a Saints and
Bath final.
Saints and Bath final. Now there was a player for the Saints, and I can't remember his name for love and the money, but he was their number 10, and he really stood out for me. I watched it on Friday, and he really stood out for me, and I think he's definitely a future England prospect. But what I liked about the Saints during that final was, and throughout this season, the Saints are very good at keeping to the basics, and they're not afraid to play the basics week in, week out. And a lot of the teams know they play the basics, but they don't know how to deal with it. Well, and I think that's, the Saints were really, really good. I was talking to a friend of mine at work, and he's a massive Saints fan, and we were talking about the English Premiership and the lower tiers as well, and how it could be fixed. And I don't think there's any way it can be fixed when you got your likes of matey boy Saracens, Farrell going off the front. It is a shame that the Premiership is the way it is, but I think Saints Bath final is going to be a belter the way it's played this season.
It is, yeah. And what you've got is Saints lost Dan Bigger. He went to play abroad, and Finn Smith is the 10 that you're talking about, young lad that's coming through.
Yes.
Really good player.
Really good. He's got potential to be. He's got the potential from looking at it the other day. He's really good. I think he's going to be the next long-term England number 10, and I just think the way that he reads the game and the way that he plays is just absolutely, for such a young man, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah.
Super quick before we move on. Do we not touch on transfer news and Company, the new Munich manager?
I don't get that, if I'm honest with you.
I don't.
From my understanding from reading various articles, he wasn't the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or even sixth choice. But for a super team within Europe like Bayern Munich to go for the manager of a failed Premiership team, it really does shock me. Whether or not his European, i.e. Belgian way of playing suits what they're looking to go for, but I think it's a humongous it's a massively bold move by Bayern Munich. I think they're setting him up to fail. I think it's a shit. I really don't get it. I really don't.
For me, I think that Munich they don't need a tactical genius. They don't need anything like that. They need a big character for the changing room. And I think that's what they've gone and got.
Yeah.
But you've got Pochettino out there. What is wrong with somebody like Mauricio Pochettino, who, albeit hasn't really done a great deal within English football, but has showed that potential, whereas Vincent Kompany, again, hasn't done a great deal in English football, but yet hasn't shown that much potential.
No, Poch did pretty well with Spurs Champions League final, but
that's the potential I'm talking about. Whereas Kompany hasn't. He hasn't that. He's still very young. He's very new in the game. He got. I think getting the managerial job at Burnley was a fucking touch. To be fair,
Yeah.
To go on to a massive club like Bayern Munich, I think is a very strange move by their board. I think I'm flabbergasted by it.
Yeah.
So, random one. I am playing at the moment Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's one of my favourite games. And the first time I played it, it was absolutely fantastic. It took me about 6-7 months to complete. And this time I'm enjoying it, but not enjoying it as much. And I read something on Twitter recently and it said, which sporting event, it actually said world event, but I'm adapting it for the purposes of this conversation, but which sporting event or which kind of sporting kind of competition type thing from the past would you want to experience again for the very first time? What would you want to see and go, that was amazing? You could watch the World Cup back, but you already know what happens. What would you want to watch? And mine, just kind of give you some thinking time.
Yeah.
For me, something if I could travel back in time and experience for the very first time again would be the entire of the 2012 Olympics, which was obviously hosted in the UK. And you've got Bolt breaking the 100-meter record. You've got Jessica Redis Hill. You've got Mo Farah. You've got Chris Hoy. You've got Tom Daly as well. Every single discipline and every single kind of sporting event in the entire month was just, and the weather was awesome as well. To go back in to experience that again for me would be unbelievable. Something that you probably won't be able to relive again for a very, very long time. What are your thoughts?
Oh, that's a belt to throw in the mix. But as soon as you mentioned historical, my first thought went back to the Rugby World Cup 2003.
Okay.
And that final game, watching England-Australia, and I remember watching it I was obviously being in Australia, the kickoff was incredibly early for us here in the UK. I remember going down to my local bar at 6 a.m. and we had bacon butties and we had some lager, albeit very early, but watching that final and even watching the lead up to that final, watching England play, it would have to be that final of the 2003 Rugby World Cup with Johnny Wilkinson picking that ball up from Matt Dawson's pass and drop goal in that winning point for England. That would be my one, yeah.
Brilliant. Love it. What an answer, Liam.
A few come across my mind. It'll be Muhammad Ali, Thriller in Manila and things like that. But obviously I wasn't alive for those, but I'd love to have been. But the one that I would want to do all over again would be the 2005 Grand Slam for Wales.
Oh,
and James knows the exact moment I'm on about. There's a moment where Gavin Henson's on the halfway line near touch. We're 9-8 down, and he kicks this kick from ridiculous distance. He's got these, you don't see it much in rugby, he's got these horrendous silver boots on and with perfect hair, and you think he's who you'd line up to smash in a match, but he's on our team. And he slots it over. We win 11-9. But that Grand Slam, I remember.
Yeah, that's
who it was. You had a hooker charge down O'Gara in Ireland and stuff like that. Yeah. It's my favourite rugby moment of all time.
See, Gavin Henson for me was the most underrated, and yet had so much potential and could have gone so much further for Wales. If he had played longer for Wales, he would have, without a doubt, been a Welsh legend.
He was the first one that got reality celebrity status, and I think it affected him too much. But that's a good one, that, Jordan. I like that. So
that's a belter. I like that.
So what I will start doing now, the new format, is I'll introduce a bit of a weekly quiz. We struck for time a little bit today, so we'll come back to the forfeit as we go along. But just as a trial one for this week, wanted to a bit of a Premier League one. So 2 teams, and it's who has more wins in the Premier League. Just, I'll give you the 2 teams, and then just give me the answer. I'll let James answer first, then Jordan. So who has the more wins in the Premier League between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur?
I am. Oh, that's a toughie, because I was going to think based on time served, you would go Spurs, but based on how they've recently been since their time in the Premier League, you would want to go City. But I am going to go Spurs.
I am also going to go Spurs.
It was Spurs by 11, so 529. City.
Oh
530
wow! I thought it'd
Spurs.
be well more one-sided than that. I get what James is saying about the form and things, but like you still to be a top 5, to be a top 6 team, you still need to win the majority of your matches. So it's a lot closer than I thought it would be.
I mean, you go back 20 years. Manchester City were playing teams like the Wilston bloody Rovers or whatnot in the conference. City weren't a big deal. So I was very torn there. I like that.
Next one is Burnley or Sheffield Wednesday.
Oh, Jordan, you can go first for this one.
To be honest, this is where my kind of knowledge is limited. I am just going to say, just because I've got more memories kind of Burnley being in the Prem, I'm going to say Burnley.
See, I wrote it down on my notepad here, and I put a big tick next to Sheffield Wednesday.
It is Wednesday's 101 to 88. And the last one is Blackburn Rovers and Leeds United.
Oh, you beauty.
When is this? Is this Premier League since the Premier
League? Yeah.
I'm going to go Leeds, and the only reason I'm going to go Leeds is because my granddad and my dad used to go to every home and away match, and that's all they ever spoke about, the domination of Leeds, and now they can't bear to see them in the lower leagues. So I'll go Leeds.
See, I'm going to go with Blackburn, and I'm going to do that for a few reasons. First reason being is that Liam is a Blackburn fan, so he'd want to put something in that makes him look good. But Blackburn also won the league in 95. Leeds were out of the Premier League for 20 odd years, whereas Blackburn have dipped in and out. So I am going to go Blackburn.
There is part of James's that is right, that I would put it in just for Blackburn beating Leeds. And it's correct. But 262 for Blackburn, 223 for Leeds. So actually the biggest gap out of all those.
Ah.
Wow.
But yeah, like I say, we've not been in it for 12 years. Leeds have come back in it.
Who has the most Premier League wins? Assume that's be United.
Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Yeah, Arsenal have.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
Factoids.
And then obviously...
Factoids for your brain.
You what, sorry?
Factoids for your brain.
That's it. So, James, what have you got for us this week?
So I have the CTWC. Can we guess what that is? It is a competition. It is a championship.
Something.
It is a world championship competition. And it is the CTWC. Can we guess?
Is it?
Counter-terrorism World Championship.
No.
No, there's only one team involved in that, but I'm not going to mention it.
I reckon it's something daft, like a classic Tetris World Championship.
No, it is the Cardboard 2 World Championship.
Jesus Christ, that's worse than the Tetris.
So you have, again, fully grown adults who are fathers, sons, professors, whoever they may be, who make armor out of cardboard, and they have a large cardboard tube which simulates a sword, and they battle with one another fully dressed in cardboard.
This sounds sick. This sounds me.
I'll tell you what,
Gonna be world
it does
champion.
sound the bollocks, doesn't it?
The only problem for you, Jordan, is you do run a risk of a paper cut.
However,
a cardboard cup.
I could dual wield. I could have a sword in each arm, in each hand. I could have light, nimble armor. I wouldn't need like big kind of bomb disposal cardboard armor. I'd just need light, agile, 2 swords. That'd be me.
I think I would go. I would go full knight, massive. So Lancelot type sword
on a cardboard horse.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, that is this a full, not recognised world championship, because you'd have to be crazy to recognise the world championship, but
Have you heard it? Publicise it. You could make a few.
Yeah, there is a league and things like that. So yeah, well, that thankfully wraps up this week. What we will do is from next week, obviously,
we're doing something for the Euros, yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a Euro special, which thankfully James will go into much detail on. I'll think of the forfeits per person. Obviously, with each person not living in the same town, we'll come to a way that we'll do that. We'll start running that from next week properly.
Well, people can. I mean, if we decide to do something to post it on our socials, people can follow us on the socials. So it may be a video record where one of the three of us makes ourselves look like a complete and utter tool for those socials, definitely. And we'll let people know where they can get that and how we can look so silly.
Yep, it'll all be in the outro with our @Sportscast Pod UK socials as well, and then we will all catch up next week.
Take care, guys.
Sounds really good. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. As normal, you'll get us on our social media, Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, @SportscastPodUK. Join us again next week.